So now we're going to turn to our next session, which is future-proofing your business model, where our panel of industry leaders will reveal how they're adapting their business models to meet the needs of the fast-changing advertising landscape. It is a constantly developing industry. As we've touched on, there's economic challenges, global unrest, but the advertising market, both digitally and traditionally, does continue to grow. And I read a statistic that said here in Scotland, every £1 spent on advertising generates £5 for the Scottish economy, and that just shows how vital it is as an industry. But let's allow the experts to discuss this further. Please welcome Marcus Peffers, UK Group Chair and Chair of World Services at MSC Saatchi, Lindsey Clay, Chief Executive of Thinkbox, Marie Owen, Founder and CEO of LS Productions, and Stephen Woodford, Chief Executive of the Advertising Association.
Thank you for introducing yourselves on stage.
Exactly.
Very polite.
We know.
So we've had two absolutely brilliant speakers so far. So we have got a high bar to follow. So thank you very much for joining us on stage. And we're going to talk about now turning it from politics into how we face into the challenges in our industry. I'm really pleased with this panel. I think really high quality perspectives that we're going to hear. And I just wanted to give a quick introduction about some of the work we do at the AA, looking at the contribution, just quoted just then, that £1 of advertising generates £5 for the Scottish economy. We've been doing work on the contribution of advertising to the economy across the UK since 2012. And we're about to publish, well, in February next year, we're going to be publishing an update of all of that work in one big report. The way we're going to be doing that is, in effect, because we'll be in 2025, so we're reflecting on the first 25 years of the Scottish Parliament. We're going to reflect in that. It's going to be a sort of then and now look at the industry. So where the industry was in 2000 and where it is now. And I'm going to ask for a bit of audience participation. How big was digital delivery in the advertising industry in the year 2000? Anybody want to shout out a number? What percentage of advertising was digital in 2000? Two. Any other offers? 5. Any other offers?
0.
Less than 1%. So, and it's now going to be, in this year, around about 80% of advertising is going to be delivered through some digital delivery mechanism. So we've seen an enormous change in the industry across that 25-year period. So we'll be looking at all of those things that have changed and all those things that are in effect staying the same, the constants of the business as well. But a few headlines. In 2025, ad spend will reach about 40 billion. It was 14.7 in 2000. About 1.4 million jobs supported by the industry. I think it was around about 1 million in 2000. It funds UK media to around about 15 billion. It's about 28% of TV revenue. I hope I'm right, because Thinkbox will know better than I will.
It's 100% of TV revenue, actually.
Well, there's TV revenue from production and other things. So, our ad spend, in terms of, we are the world's most advanced digital economy by some measures. In fact, we are the second highest in the world on a per capita basis. We were just slightly ahead of the US. The US has just nudged slightly ahead of the UK. So the US and the UK are way, way ahead of other economies in terms of digital ad spend. So there's a big change in the way our industry is working, and it's a big change in effect, a reflection of the change in the economy. One of the really major, simple reasons why we're such big spenders on digital channels is because we're the world's #1 online shoppers. We buy more online per capita than any other country. So, you know, the advertising follows where people shop. But I want to look about how those sort of macro changes really affect individual parts of the industry. And we've got, obviously, an agency leader, a production leader, and somebody who's, I would say, a sector leader, because Thinkbox speaks for the television sector, and Lindsey is a formidable speaker on behalf of the television sector.
Don't spoil it, I may not be.
So I'm going to start with a question to all of you. So given everything that I was just giving a quick summary of, but the changes that you're all very aware of, not so much over 25 years, but the here and now of the business and looking forward, how do you think the future proofing is best tackled? I'm going to start with you, Lindsey, as I've been picking on you already. Think about the TV sector and that rapid change. Obviously, TV share has gone down as a share of advertising. How do you think TV remains competitive and, in fact, grows in that changing economy?
Well, I mean, it's a great question and one that we are grappling with all the time. I think you've got to future-proof, as far as TV is concerned, it's such a powerful advertising medium because it's a really, popular medium amongst viewers. So what you've got to do is future-proof the viewing, and then, you can future-proof the advertising. So I suppose as far as viewing is concerned, we're at this time of incredible transition and change. We've been a 100% digital medium for many years, but the switch to internet-delivered TV is a massive game changer. And you can see it happening, you've seen the rise of the streamers. We're all watching loads of, TV by different means. So there's two big initiatives to, at some point, all of TV, and it's not too far away, will be delivered via IP rather than broadcast technology. And so there's a couple of big initiatives there for viewers. So Freely has been launched, which is enabling you to adapt your TV set so that you can watch on demand and streamed and live linear TV. But it'll be like you're just watching, your usual electronic programming guide. And then, of course, the Sky Glass, which is perfect. Has anybody got Sky Glass here?
Yep.
Yes, it's just a stupendous experience. Fantastic. And Sky Stream is like a little thing you can plug into your TV to transform it. Not quite into that experience, but pretty good. So we're on this transition, and really you've got to give viewers what they want. That's the way you future-proof, in every sector. You give the customer what they want, and what they want in TV is flexibility and control and choice, and also you need to make it easy for them to find the TV that they're looking for. So if you can do all that's the first step. And then the second step is future-proofing advertising. The way I always look at that is, there's so much you can say about TV advertising, but I think there's a clue in the name, TV, as an acronym. So T stands for trust and V stands for value. And if you can look after those two things, then you're doing something right. And so what TV companies need to do is make sure that TV remains trusted, and that's pretty straightforward. They need to just carry on doing what they're already doing. Every second of TV content goes through some kind of compliance department. So it's viewed by human eyes. Every single ad is pre-cleared. It's a highly trusted, highly regulated environment. And that also then brings the V, which is value. So it's the most profitable ad-generated medium. But you've got to be able to maintain that. And, we know that there are lots of challenges in linear viewing, I think, in particular. But what's happening is with that transition to IP technology, you get a whole load of extra tools in TV's toolbox as well. So it means that, potentially 100% of TV can be addressable at some point in the future. Now, just because it's possible doesn't mean that it's desirable. I think, having 100% addressable ad break is maybe not the perfect thing. The individual ads being served. One of the real beauties of TV is that it's public. Brands are built in public. That's how it works. But I think prioritizing viewing, keeping that quality of the environment, and then offering more addressable, targeted solutions for advertising is the future.
Fantastic. That sounds like a whole TV conference in one answer. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to go down the supply chain in a sense.
Right.
So Marcus, from obviously producing content in all formats, thinking about that future-proofing, not just about TV, but everything that you're doing at M&C Saatchi.
Yeah. Firstly, can I apologise for my picture? It is a terrible advertising cliche, isn't it, to be wearing an Adidas cap, and I do apologise for that. Coming up, I must change photo.
As opposed to a black T-shirt.
As opposed to a black T-shirt, exactly. I think look, there's no doubt that, as you said, Lindsey, that things are changing, more and faster than ever before, and it is harder and harder to navigate and future-proof against that change. Three of the things we're doing at M&C Saatchi and there's a health warning that it's not rocket science. It's really just trying to do some of the simple things much better. The first of those, and actually just to echo what you said, Lindsey, is listening to listening and understanding the two key stakeholders in our business, or two of the key stakeholders, and that is what clients want and what customers want, or citizens if you're doing public sector communication, and really understanding what clients need, how we can adapt to become the sort of agency partner of choice, and then also having the mechanisms in place to understand how audience needs and attitudes and behaviours are changing, so we can sort of map our products and services against that. So that's sort of a really critical part. In terms of for clients, I mean, definitely what audience wants and audiences want. And the broad thing is, as you said, flexibility and choice and control, whatever that is, whether that's be on TV or whether it be through more digital media. From clients, a lot of what we're seeing, and I'm sure maybe many of you in the room experiencing the same dynamics, is they're looking. It's becoming increasingly complex, and they're looking for us to simplify a lot of the creative solutions we give them. So it's less discipline specific, and it's more about putting sort of diverse, different minds in a room, convening those diverse minds around a particular problem, and then going off and solving it for them in a sort of channel neutral or media neutral way, at speed and cheaper. So, as is always going to be, no issues there. That exactly, faster, cheaper, faster, cheaper. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we are continually having to adapt our operating model. We operate at a regional basis, but we have 5 vertical specialisms. We have a media specialism, a consultancy specialism, an advertising specialism, a passions and PR and talent specialism, and then social issues as well, global and social issues. And within that, lots of different products and services. And we've had to really work very hard over the last 12 to 18 months to take quite a lot of cost out of the business, which is also quite a painful thing to do for obvious reasons. And that's meant sort of offshoring quite a lot of our services back office to South Africa and to India. It's meant closing down businesses or markets that don't operate profitably. And also, if you move to a more integrated model, there's a lot more you can actually, where there's a convergence of different sectors or different disciplines, you can manage the efficiencies around duplication or where there's difference. So I think sort of, having a sort of a leaner, more agile operating model is going to be critical for any advertising agency or any communications company, sort of as they future-proof their business. And the final thing is, and it's obviously the most important one and the most obvious one, is talent and people. I think my old boss, when I started at Saatchi, it's different to MNC Saatchi, it's very confusing. When I first started, it said to me, the people with the best people win. And that sort of old cliche or adage is still true. And obviously, the nature of that talent is changing quite dramatically. I think it's with T-shaped or X-shaped or Y-shaped, whatever shaped talent you need. But it's definitely people who understand how to build brands, but are also socially literate and can do social first campaigns and navigate stories across different channels. And so trying to find that talent is absolutely critical. And surprisingly, there's a shortage of it, actually, being able to do both those things. You can tend to get people who are good at building brands or people who are very good at social. Getting the talent that can do both is a challenge. So those are the 3 big things, really, which is listening to clients and audiences, adapting our products and services, continually changing our operating model so it's leaner and it's faster and more agile, and then just finding the right talent.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Marcus. And actually, that point about talent, I thought picked up on, Barry, the question you asked of Daniel. And actually, I thought his answer was very good in terms of thinking about it's not just coding skills, it's that breadth.
It's a breadth.
And I think actually the way you expressed it in terms of people who understand the way people live their lives, in a sense.
Yeah.
And then can
culture.
Translate the culture.
It's culture. Yeah. More and more, so many of our clients can't get as close to the culture as we can.
Yeah.
And that's becoming a more and more critical thing for us to be able to translate that back up to.
Marie, you probably haven't heard those or felt that pressure of doing more quickly, doing it cheaper.
Never, none of that.
It doesn't affect the production sector at all, does it?
I know. We're supposed to be defending you against that.
I wish I had a pen. I was like, yeah. Told you, learning always.
I mean, you have built an amazing production business in Scotland, and a very widely admired entrepreneur for creating this business and turning it from a Scottish business to a global business. So in a way, I think you could maybe write a book about future-proofing a business. But just as you're looking forward with the pressures of more, quicker, cheaper, what are you thinking about at the moment? How are you thinking about 2025 and beyond?
Well, it's good to think ahead, but it always makes me think from back in the day. I've thought of this from day one, to be quite honest. And I think as a business owner, that's how I've always had to think. I really like what you said, Marcus, about keep it simple, common sense. That can be really overlooked, especially in our industry. I think sometimes it feels like it needs to do magic things. And actually some simple fundamentals that are important in this industry are they are in any others. And I hang out with people from all different industries that really help me be inspired and be reminded of just those simple things. So for me, it's also looking at the changing world. We've had so many changes in production, of course, as we all have in the wider industry, before the pandemic, but post-pandemic and with Brexit, because I think Brexit nearly gets lost, but it's just made people maybe assume different things about the UK and about Scotland, and as well. And so I think as a business we've had to adapt to shout even louder about what we do and why we do it and how we do it. It's something we've always adopted as a business. We've always thought we have to shout loud from where we live in Edinburgh and where our head office is. Although, as you say, Stephen, we operate globally. We're proud Scots and our head office is there. But we've always known if to win business, we have to shout loud about not only how good we are, and if we're talking about winning by having the best people, we're going to smash it, because we absolutely do have the best, and we're very proud of that. But also really adapting to customers. So actually understand your customer, like hang out with your customer. Get out of your office, get out of Zoom, get on a plane, get on a train, whatever. I mean, come here, speak to people. And then for me, people want things to look amazing on screen, and so do we. So it's about spending that money on screen properly, but then thinking about in our back offices how we be as efficient as possible to make sure as much of the much tighter budgets, because that is our biggest challenge. Everyone still wants it to look like this, but the budget's tighter. To create all those efficiencies, which I actually think is the right thing to do for our industry anyway. Obviously, this is under quite a lot of pressure to do that. And then coming up with cost-efficient solutions that look amazing, tick the boxes, but also are cost-effective. And that has been a challenge, I think, for us in the UK, and about the perception of the cost of the UK. We're overlooked for the talent we've got here, the amazing locations and how we do it. And we lose a lot of business to Europe just because people assume it's going to be easier or assume it's going to be cheaper. And of course, some things are cheaper and some things aren't, but we have to really fight hard for that. Then our inner efficiencies, adopting new technologies, digital and AI, etc., doesn't frighten us. We do live production, but we use a lot of skills in our production to produce what we do. So I think we're thinking smartly about how do we adapt to that. And then also as a business in a creative sector, we are very data-driven and understanding our own numbers. So I got great advice from someone on my board once, was really know your numbers. Because in uncertain times and in growth times, that's so important, because cash is king. Cash and revenue and profit are all completely different things. I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I've learnt a lot, but you've learnt by doing.
I think it's
cash, absolutely.
Revenue is vanity.
100% sanity, all that stuff. But really understand those numbers, what they mean to your business. So going back to your efficiency and the model, we've made changes too, and in COVID, we did make some redundancies, but a lot of it is about building the right structure for now, the future. So really looking at what your business is right now. And I can get really caught up in vision, and we have big plans, and I love all that stuff. But it's really important, like we sit and review, and we do on a weekly basis, what's really happening, what does that pipeline look like, what about the budget, we're reckoning it's taken maybe 30% more for people to actually make decisions on a project. So understanding that, how that affects us as a business. So lots of things wrapped up in that. But I think you just have to be agile, adaptive, realistic, live in the moment, and also write a plan for the future. I mean, I guess you guys take that as for standard, but I think a lot of people in our industry with smaller businesses, I mean, we're a tiny business compared to yours, 40 people, but really set that plan out and kind of know where you're aiming. And if you're off track, realise you're off track, and why. Maybe off track's a better way to do it. But I think sometimes that's overlooked in businesses like ours, and I think that's really important.
Fantastic. Like all these answers, there's so much in that answer.
I know.
that we could spend more time on. But I think that point about international growth is a really interesting one, and I think, again, referring back to Daniel's speech, where he talked about, UK growth has been terrible for the last 10 years, but Scottish growth has been a little bit worse. And so that's affected the industry here. And then, we talked earlier, one of the questions talked about the drift of decision-making away from Scotland. So business is moving, and Manchester's been a threat, and elsewhere. Marcus, one of the things that M&C has done very well is grow business overseas, and I was thinking particularly of in Europe and in the Middle East. Yeah. For the businesses here who are looking to overseas growth from Scotland, what would your advice be?
We've had a good year in there. I mean, actually, they're both quite small markets. Actually, we now have a regional model, so we have a European region and a UAE or GCC region, as it's called, and they're both relatively small. But I think the GCC UAE grew by 50% and Europe by 20%. Because it's quite small, it's, if we win a couple of big clients, like I think we won BMW in Italy and we won Lidl in Germany, and the construction sector is particularly booming where we're strong in the UAE. So those kind of things can make a big difference for good and for bad. Definitely moving to a regional model has helped because, you know, if I look at our Milan, Berlin and Amsterdam office, they all sort of work seamlessly together now. They sort of dovetail. One's very good in sports marketing, the other one's good in consultancy, the other one's good in PR. And as I said, lots of clients are looking for those integrated solutions. So being able to operate across markets as well as within an agency is really important. I actually set up, I've done every job at MC. I've been at MC Saatchi for 30 years, so I've done every job from graduate trainee now to chairman. So somebody said to me, you're just doing sort of job bingo, and once you've finished them all in, you'll leave. But I used to be the chief operating officer for Europe, Middle East and Africa, so I set up agencies in Berlin and in Germany and in Italy. And again, sorry, it's like a stuck record, it's the quality of the people that you hire, and the cultural fit that you have as you go across sort of, you know, borders and nations, and they are just top teams in those regions. So again, it's not really rocket science, it's really good people operating in a really sort of effective way together.
Thank you. I'm going to change gear a bit and go back to something, Lindsey, you were saying, thinking about the future, because we were both at the IPA Effectiveness Awards on Monday, and again, what really stuck out about that was the amount of TV in those awards.
Yeah.
Yet, you know, we see advertisers, you know, it's harder and harder, it seems, to sell television to some advertisers. What do you think broadcasters can do, in effect, to, if the technology's there, and the delivery's there, and the personalization's there, but you've still got to sell the benefit of telly?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And I think the other thing that happened at the IPA Effectiveness Awards this week was Catherine Kehoe, who's the amazing chair of the awards, and she's the senior client at Nationwide, thank you. She talked about, you know, the importance of effectiveness culture, but she also said, and we all know that the challenges that TV is experiencing. And so obviously, you know, I was slightly hurt about that. But then what happened was, you know, every single group and team coming up to pick up their awards, it was a TV-led campaign. You know, there was this complete, you know, parade of fantastic TV examples. And I think in a way that's the epitome of one of our challenges in TV, which is that it's changing a lot and it's nowhere near as convenient as it used to be, because linear TV, which is the bit that is huge and you can get quick reach really easily in one spot in, you know, Coronation Street or whatever it is, and it's measured really simply with Barb, it's not as convenient as that anymore. So, you know, people are watching more or less the same, but it's divided up into all sorts of different you know, sections. So yes, we've got broadcaster VOD, and that works in a different way from linear TV. So it's just, you know, it's frankly annoying. So we need to, I think, you know, making it easier and more seamless is one of the challenges for TV. But there's some fantastic news as well, and I think I was struck by what was said earlier about growth, and, you know, is growth and output not a strategy? Well, sort of in TV it's both, because if we've got growth, then the advertising generally will come. And, you know, we actually have got that because the streamers have added in their, you know, the streamers are becoming TV companies, the TV companies are becoming streamers. And so that's added in, you know, more really high quality advertising inventory, not just TV-like, but TV. So I think that's, you know, real sign of health at the medium. And so that needs to be a key message, which is, you know, you get this fantastic growth. There's a lot more tools. TV is much more competitive at the sort of pointy end of the funnel. But it's just not as convenient as it used to be. So sorry about that, but we're working on it.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to go to the other end of the pipeline now. So that's the broadcast end. Marie, you talked at a high level about the complexity of briefs and, you know, the multiplicity of formats. You know, how does that, when you're actually working on a job, how does that manifest in terms of the brief? Do you get a brief that basically says, we need this shoot to do everything, or do you do the shoot and then you're doing everything down the line? How does that work when you're managing these complex productions?
It's a real mixture, but I would say nowadays our clients want it to do everything, same budget, but to cover everything. And I started the business as a fashion production company. So it was mainly stills fashion that you would see in a magazine or on a billboard, and there's still a bit of that today, but that then bled into behind the scenes. Then they were trying to do something for Instagram, and then they were doing a TV commercial. So we cover many formats now as a business. But my saying is it's same but different, what a client needs from us. And actually there are some efficiencies of being able to do, you know, stills and behind the scenes, or stills and moving image together. There's consistency for the client, there's cost efficiencies to be made, savings to be made by combining both. But yeah, of course people want more for their money. But as a great production company, we're able to deliver that. And I think that's been brilliant in being able to build our team of producers and the different skill sets that we have, and then being able to use, a little bit like you were saying, across the business, the knowledge that we have built over the years, which we store in our data and we can reuse and reuse. We don't just throw it out with every production, you know, we can maintain that and store that and then help clients make better, efficient decisions to be able to cover off everything. But in any ways, that has given us an opportunity to grow as a business, because being a fashion-only production company, and this was a mumpreneur idea of 18 years ago, wasn't sustainable as a business because it's very seasonal. So I just kept a very simple head of, well, what else could we be doing to build a year-round pipeline, for example? And then from advertising, it came in, oh, you've done this great advert, this director worked with you, and he's now doing the next music video for so-and-so. Making a music video, or actually the TV commercial, very similar for us. What's needed is same, but different.
I'm sure it's interesting because I've got quite a few friends who run production companies, and they've really struggled to go from TV production into other production. Whereas you've come from, if you like, you know, non-TV production into it. So that mindset of what people need.
And it's funny because we're doing a big reality TV episode this week in Scotland with 250 on set, which companies like us don't usually do stuff like this. But this is why this changing world throws challenges and opportunity, because we're the perfect partner for this company. We've come in for the US, but the way we produce that, we produce it with a fashion mindset, so we really look after people, as you should on set. Our job is to make them feel safe, get the job done, you know, keep things on time, keep things on budget, but we can do that really nicely. So that comes back to your people. It's all about people. If our people don't come to work tomorrow, there's no business, so there's absolutely no point. And everyone we work with is a person, so if we treat them well, generally we can cover off everything they need, and people go home happy.
That's not necessarily a strength of the production industry in the past in terms of how...
More fool them then.
More fool them, yeah. So one quick question to finish on now. So I'm going to ask each of you for one thing for 2025 that you're going to take, that either you've got in mind for your business or reflecting on what we've heard today. So, Marcus, let's start with you. One thing for 2025 in terms of moving the business forward.
We've got a very strong brand. The Saatchi brand is a very strong brand. It's both a blessing and a curse because, like all brands, it's fantastic because it helps you cut through. And if people receive it in the right way, it attracts talent, and clients recognise it. My mum recognises it. But of course, like any brand, it also comes with some preconceptions and misconceptions. One of the challenges we have is that, you know, the majority of our work, the vast majority of our work is not traditional advertising. You know, we have a talent business, for example. We've got the biggest talent business in the UK managing off-script talent. So lots of people on Strictly Come Dancing or Top Gear or The One Show, and we manage their careers very often coming out of sport or coming out of music or coming out of film into TV, and we develop lots of programming associated with that. But no one would ever know us for that or think about us like that because the eclipse of Saatchi is advertising. So we have to work very hard to change that perception because talking about future-proofing, the future is not just advertising; it's everything, and we need to be recognised for that. So we're going to work very hard at doing that.
I did not know that about your business.
No, I know. There we are. You see, and he knows everything.
Thank you. Lindsey, from a Thinkbox on behalf of television, what's the big thing for 2025, do you think?
The big thing for us, one of the big things is measurement. And the question you asked earlier, you know, how can you get clients to invest more in TV? One of the challenges is TV works phenomenally well, and it has a really great short-term impact. It's the second, best driver of profit in the short term. Second only to search, but it's not known as a performance medium. You know, it's thought of as a brand building medium, and that's because it's sort of quite hard to measure it immediately. So we have got this fantastic collaboration between the TV companies, Sky, Channel 4 and ITV. They have got a project called Project Lantern, and what they want to do is they have got 4 million homes in the Sky panel, another 2 million in YouView, and so that's their viewers. Then they're partnering with a company called Measure Protocol, and that they're the sort of biggest panel of online behaviour and usage. And what they're going to do is smash those two together, get client volunteers to put their campaigns through this. So you'll be able to see from the viewers panel who's been exposed to the advertising, and from the online panel what what behaviour happened as a result, and then what happened with the unexposed groups. And we've got very high hopes of it. So it's only proof of concept at the moment, and the idea is then we'll be able to demonstrate immediately TV's fantastic short-term impact and also the impact on other media too. So fingers crossed for that.
I didn't know about that data about the short term, but I read it the other day, and I think the industry is increasingly addicted to the short term. So
it is. So we need to demonstrate our phenomenal capability in that area.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Marie, you talked about having a plan. I mean, you said you're a small business, but 40 is a big production business. So what's on your agenda for 2025?
Well, being an entrepreneur, I can't just have one thing. It's really bamboozling my head to try and think of one thing. But I think what I would say here is just make sure more people know about us.
Yeah.
Like go out in the world. So for me, that's scrutinising our sales strategy, really understand that, hunting business, because it's not going to just come to us or any of us. So go out in the world and work out where do your customers live and hang out with them, your output to your outreach, your relationship, keep those relationships warm. So really for me, it's about sales strategy, because I don't think it's going to be easy time. So we're going to have to keep working hard for the business.
Great, fantastic. Fantastic panel. Thank you very much to all of them. So Lindsey, Marie, Marcus, please give them a big round of applause. Thank you.